So Redfall has been, I would say, on the most bumpiest ride this year. Ever since the initial launch, bad launch, I've been covering Redfall for quite some time, and I guess Arkane Studios is trying their best to overall give us a better co-op live service based game. Now, there are quite a few problems with Redfall overall. I've beat it. I have plenty of videos for covering if you guys want to check that out, but that's not what we're here for. So we have the most, I would say, not massive update, not as massive as their first update when the game originally launched, but this is update 2.0, adding a couple of things that probably should already been in the game as is. But you know, we have performance mode, so I'm gonna actually showcase what the overall spec sheets that we got going on here, and let's talk about it, right? So here, Redfall 2 brings the aforementioned performance mode, which is essentially uncapping the initial 30 frames per second and dropping it up to 60 frames per second for the Xbox Series X and S. You also get stealth tech downs, they got new controller settings, there's accessibility improvements, and much more. So, you know, overall, let's talk about the performance and stability. So once again, like I said, the 60 FPS honestly would probably make the game a little bit more fluid eventually over time, as we noticed that a lot of Xbox games for the console base has been capped at 30. Like Starfield, I think, is capped at 30 frames per second as well. So they also did an improvement on the PC performance as well. We got fixes on memory crashes. Overall, just an overall stability improvement. They have also added the AMD's FSR 2.1 scaling has been enabled as well. And we got a couple other fixes as well. Support hero abilities triggering properly despite environmental factors, ladders, death miss, electrocution, and much more. So then we go on into the user interface. So weapons with silencers or silence muzzle attachments now reflect their silent state in tooltips. Vault and mantle indicators now displaying the HUD when surface. Mission briefing table now becomes delineates between main mission and optional missions. Functional improvements to the compass marker. Overall, like me honestly looking at this list here, there's not too, like, the game has a lot of problems as is, and when I say a lot of problems, like it's definitely there. I've spent a good 16 hours playing this game, and will this 2.0 update make me want to come back to it? Not really. Like I said, this is a live service game. Not too much has really been helping this. It's not much else to do other than just keep rebooting the game. But hopefully for anybody that's new that's coming into this, hopefully these newer updates actually help overall. So then we have a little bit on the accessibility options. So this improves screen narration, so the narration becomes a little bit better in the multiplayer lobby. Supports for back and friends menu controls on all pages of the settings menus. The user input field has been fixed. And a lot of other just small nitpick things, not too much of really fixing the game. So now let's move on over to the overall gameplay. This is probably will be the most biggest thing about it, the gameplay and the combat. So gameplay. Numerous improvements to default aim assist and dead zone tuning. So this is for controller players, of course. Arkane recommends if you are more into fast-paced multiplayer FPS fans, then you will put on the medium, high, or linear input response presets, as they tend to feel faster and more responsive. But if you're somebody who's more on the slower single-player FPS side of things, then you should put it on default low or medium input response presets, as the slow response curves tend to feel like you have a little bit more precision over your aim. So overall, helping general players who are just wanting a more faster time or more slower time, which is pretty fine. I played this game on both controller and as well as keyboard and mouse. I did perfectly fine on patch 1.1 and as well as on launch day. Didn't see too much of differences between them, but hopefully for anybody who actually is playing this 2.0 and later, because this update dropped as of yesterday if I'm not mistaken. Also, they have increased and decreased the controller sensitivity for the input response presets. Default value would directly increase or decrease your overall left and right turning speeds. Players who turn up the controller sensitivity can now try out default strong, very strong aim assist. So it's overall definitely been helping out people with aim assist. as well as the strength of it and how can it snap to enemies and all that good stuff. Settling in missions and accruement will now fill the player's pistol, shotgun, and assault rifle ammunition. New vampire nest spawns to Old Town and Central neighborhoods, so adding more vampire nests. Hopefully they fix the vampire nest. I know the vampire nest had a lot of bugs during the vampire nest situation. I didn't run into them, but I know a lot of people in the community definitely did. Tutorial Blade and Archive entry for Psychic Residue. Remy's C4 no longer remains in the world after exploding. Various fixes to missions. Said nothing too crazy. Now let's move on to combat. So players can now sneak up and take down unaware cultists and bellwether enemies with staked weapons. That's nice. So that's adding a little bit more onto the melee side of things. I think the only time melee is truly used other than just melee an enemy is when you're staking a vampire once they're actually in a unconscious state to, you know, to fully kill them. Increase open world enemy population and mission encounter balancing. Adding unique open world enemy encounters in Redfall commons. Added element of lighting or reflective clothing to vampires, human NPCs aid invisibility during the night. Okay, that's not bad. I like that. Hoping, because sometimes when you're traveling during the night times, sometimes you can't see. It becomes a straight horror game, but sometimes the AI don't do anything, so it's not that bad. Enemies can now reposition to avoid friendly fire. Breebone is now guaranteed to shock nearby enemies while using Siren with the robot rocks still activated. Remy would now be alerted when or where Breebone is downed. Fix several scenarios where enemies could become stuck in an idle state and stop engaging with the player. Now that right there is probably one of the biggest things, is you'll run into a problem where you're fighting an enemy and then they just stop fighting you. Like, it's like you're standing right in front of them and they're just sitting there like, hey, aren't you gonna try to come kill me or anything like that? So definitely that being fixed is one big complaint that I've seen a lot of players have. Several scenarios where enemies could be sights and silencer barrels have been updated to improve reticle visibility. Sights using green emissive have been tuned so they are bright at night. Scale and position of magazines have been improved to prevent clipping and other animation issues. Improve Rook's combat behavior in the Black Sun boss arena. Okay, not bad. So they got a couple of environmental fixes. Burial Point District have been added into the map. Other locations to the Redfall. Improve the lighting presentation in the Black Sun boss arena. Improve visual fidelity for Second Space butterflies, fog pockets, and the Black Sun's glowing sigil, and various water effects. And multiplayer. Last but not least, on the patch notes update, added visually distinct player indicators and markers for multiplayer sessions. Unique co-op ping color for each player in the squad. They improved the player ping visibility, and the lights out achievement will now be awarded in multiplayer only if the Lost in a Fog mission is active. So that right there is our overall patch 2.0 to Redfall. Redfall or Arkane Studios is trying their damnedest to make sure that this game is good. Right? They have to keep it alive after the horrible launch that they've had. You know, there's a lot of players who still stick it out. Is it still worth the $70? No. If you guys want to go check it out on the Xbox Game Pass for free, I highly recommend doing that if you guys want to check it out. Hopefully for anybody who's new playing Redfall can at least now, you know, get a better experience with patch 1.0 and as well as 2.0, because I feel like these are a lot of fixes that have definitely been fixing the game. Hopefully when it comes to overall content in the game will help out, because it kind of gets more of a rinse and repeat as you continue going on, killing the vampires, move to location, kill the next vampire. So hopefully as they've been fixing the game, there's more content being added to the game. More locations, some form of DLC, some form of side content. Not going to spoil the ending, so it's going to kind of be a little bit weird on how they're going to expand upon that with more content. So we'll see, because this is a live service game, so hopefully some form of DLC or some form of extra side content or anything of that nature is available. But what do you guys think about Redfall's 2.0 update? I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, it's been your host, KSDTV, here at Chaotic Inc., signing out. Peace.
I don't sleep, that's so weak, don't plan to rest. I'm from a hood where you die if you don't pack a vest. No culinary degrees, but whipping crack the best. Chefing, hard times taught lessons. Praying every night to pull up in park Benzes. What's my home is what you call trenches. You wouldn't last a day seeing life through all lenses. It's all tension, no sun, and rain and plenty. Full-time job, still can never make a penny. I ain't rapping for